Oh my goodness, why is this stuck on here? Let me get them off of here. Good Lord. What a horrible way to start off. Um, hmm. How do I get them off of here? Oh well, that's better. That's better. I couldn't think fast enough. Anyway, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Um, all right. That being said, let me bring the slides up. Okay. Slides are coming up. Hope I did that right. Okay. There we go. That's that. That's that. And that. And all right. Oh, all right. Slides are coming up, and then we can get started. Of course, I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. We never are we? More like 2 or 3 hours, but not today. I promise. Not more than an hour and a half. There we go. Ta-da! All right. Where those slides at? Where those slides at? Anyway, I managed to hunt down some more images from the 1805 fundraiser. Also, if there's someone listening that sent me an email about your being unable to comment, I tried to fix it. So let's hope that that worked out. I did the only fix I know of, probably the only one that I'm capable of. And let's just hope that works out, right? Right. Okay. All right. Hello, Lydia Washington, Hazel Joan, Felton LaShawn, Carol Lunn, Helen G., and a bunch of other people. TMCD, thank you so much for being here first. Hey, Bunny Rose, it's been a minute, right? Peace and joy, thank you so much for the gift. Thank you so much for the gift. That is absolutely stunning. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what in the world could this possibly be? I didn't know whether or not I could share, but it's a twofer. Yeah, it's a twofer. You could do this with it, and you could do that with it perfectly. So thank you very much. And I am going to look forward to getting everything all, set up and ready to go. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, thank you again very much. I really, really do appreciate it. What a lovely surprise. And you know what? I have to say, I felt a bit of warmth because my aunt that passed away last year, her favorite color was yellow. And as soon as I saw that, I was just like, wow. And the thing is, I used to, one of her outings was me making breakfast for her. So unfortunately, you know, she's not here to see it. But anyway, thank you very much. That was very, very thoughtful. Okay. So, Ali B, thank you for 10 gifts. Yes, thank you so much for blessing Royal Sussex. Well, actually, the Royal Sussex subscribers. gifted 10 Royal Sussex memberships. So thank you very much. Do you know I saw this while I was prepping and I raced as fast as I could. I'm like, how fast can I make a thank you card? That's why you heard me say, gosh, I hope I got that right. Because I was like, my little dexterous fingers were over here whirling away. And I made this in about like 2 minutes. So, anyway, that was a little challenge. I glanced at it and I said, how fast can I possibly do that? And the answer is very fast. So, thank you very much for blessing Royal Sussex with 10 gifts to the Sussex Squad subscribers. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Heather Stroud, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. Lou L.E., thank you for being here. Very good. Thank you so much. Joy of Moore, thank you for being here. All right. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. All right. I am going to call Jeff Bezos myself because I got a bone. I got a bone to pick with Jeff Bezos. Why in the uh why in the frappuccino, why in the what are you sending me stuff like this? Why am I the only one that sees Amazon gifts for seniors? How old do you think I am? How old do you think I am? Now, yes, I may not be as young as I used to be. Yeah, maybe some of my bones pop when I walk. Maybe it's almost like a nightmare to watch me get out of a seated position. It's certainly not pretty. Maybe I don't hop out of a car as fast as I used to. But that doesn't mean that I need to be enticed with gifts for seniors. Yes, I only have about half the teeth that I should right now. Sure, who doesn't? But but this is reprehensible, and I think I may speak to my solicitor about this. We'll see how it goes, but I am insulted. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you send me something as menacing and evil as this? And I'm like, why do I keep getting these? This is not the first one. There's been others. And I'm just like, and what of it? What of it? So I don't appreciate it one bit. And as I said, I'm going to speak to my solicitor about this because I think they about to catch a case over there. They about to catch a case. I'm not having it. Yeah, I didn't just fall off of a turnip truck. I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, why does these keep popping up? What have I done? And yet I'm getting these about once a week. Once a week. Um, well, as you may have heard, the storm is over. The storm has passed. And eventually, as of tomorrow night, we will have a chance to see Jimmy Kimmel back on ABC. But there's a bit of a caveat, which is interesting because I don't even know what a caveat is, but that's what people usually say in these circumstances. There is a bit of a caveat. Is that stuff that they have on the tray at the party? Caveat? where they have crackers and, and caveat, champagne and caveats. Anyway, there's a caveat. Sinclair will not air Jimmy Kimmel's return on his ABC stations. Now, Sinclair is huge. It's huge. And it's also very right leaning and conservative. How many television stations are owned by Sinclair? Well, let me see here. With 38 across the country, including WJLA, the ABC affiliate that serves Washington, D.C. metro area. Yeah, Sinclair, I guess they're operating out of all of the big cities. Let me see here. Sinclair Broadcast Group, a publicly traded American telecommunication conglomerate, owns and operates 294 television stations across the United States in 89 markets. That's 89 markets, ranging in size from as large as Washington, D.C., to as small as Ottumwa, Iowa, Kirksville, Missouri. Several of these stations are owned by affiliate companies with varying ties to Sinclair, including Cunningham Broadcasting, Deerfield Media, and Howard Sturks Holdings, and operated by Sinclair using local market agreement, which means that with one phone call, conceivably, you can just decide, nope, we'll have none of that. So there you go. 89 markets, or a total of 294 television stations refuse to air Jimmy Kimmel Live. So that means that a large chunk of the viewing public will not have access. Now, how many millions of potential viewers that means, I don't know. How would that differ from the amount of people that will watch ABC on YouTube and other platforms? I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. How many people may actually watch it on the ABC website? Unknown. But the live broadcast in 89 of those markets, they say that they're not going to show it. So as Jimmy Kimmel Live returns to ABC on Tuesday night and millions of screens across America tune in, swathes of the country will only have access to news programming instead of the late night show. Broadcasting giant Sinclair announced that it would not air Jimmy Kimmel's show despite its return to the airwaves this week. Beginning Tuesday night, Sinclair will be preempting Jimmy Kimmel Live across our ABC affiliate stations and replacing it with news programming. Sinclair said in a statement to Rolling Stone on Monday, discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return. This is a very serious thing, not just because of Jimmy Kimmel, but because of this attempt to, I guess, what do you call it? The attempt to, oh gosh, what word am I looking for? Help me out. This attempt to own the media, own the message, punish anyone who Donald Trump has fallen out of favor with. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't have to be complicated. Thank you, Ms. Z. Control. Censor. That's it. Censor. That's the word I'm looking for. Censorship. This censorship of the Jimmy Kimmel show, among other things. Just like with the purchase of CBS. CBS has had a long reputation as being a very liberal um, media company, and now that they're owned by, I think it's Ellison, the guy who, anyway, he's a billionaire. He and some other people went in to purchase the CBS, and so for that reason, they, I think 60 Minutes is gone, right? Has 60 Minutes been canceled? Okay, has not been canceled. In fact, it was renewed for the 58th season, but is scheduled to premiere on Sunday, September 28th. The show has been experiencing changes in production, including recent resignation of its executive producer, Bill Owens. In other words, they're going conservative. If not conservative, what they're going to do is they're going to make sure that they pluck all the teeth out of it to make sure it has very little bite. Yeah, they're going to make sure that they take all of the bite out of 60 Minutes. 58 years, 60 Minutes has been running on CBS. It has time and time again scored in the top 10 of not just a news magazine show, but anything on television. It has been in the top 10. Some of the best television journalism that you'll ever see anywhere in these United States. And of course, they purchased CBS so that they can gut it, so they can take all the bite out of it. Now, they say continued journalism. The program will continue to feature its signature investigative reports, interviews, and news-making profiles with a team of correspondents such as Leslie Stahl, Scott Pelley, and Anderson Cooper. Let's see how that works out. But back in April, they reported that CBS Civil War, 60 Minutes facing potential cancellation after, let me see what it says here. I think it was because they made they had an article that was critical of their parent company. Yeah, after blasting their parent company. But anyway, they have worked out some kind of way to stay on the air. But I tell you, do not be surprised if they aren't ripped to shreds. Censorship. Thank you very much, Lydia Washington. That's exactly the word we're looking for. And of course, Ms. Z, I agree. There's also an element of control, greed. There you go. That's another good one. Oh, thank you, Hazel Jones. I used to measure all interviews against 60 Minutes. Now I don't know. Yeah, wherever the money comes from, who the man with the last word is the man with the deepest pockets. That is like one of those laws of nature. The man with the last word is usually the man with the deepest pocket. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, good luck to Jimmy Kimmel. I rarely watch Jimmy Kimmel. And if it wasn't for the fact that they abruptly uh, pulled the plug on the show, this probably wouldn't have happened. But it was too abrupt to literally kick the man out. And I'm going to tell you, I am keeping an eye on, if you find a celebrity that has seemingly sided with the people that decided to pull the plug, keep an eye on that person. Keep an eye on that person. There is a couple of them that I've seen that have sided, saying, oh, well, it was his ratings. His ratings does not excuse the abrupt yanking the plug on him like that. That has done nothing but frighten people and reminded people of this attempt to control the message, to make sure that a handful of people decide what we are talking about at the water cooler the next day. And that is a problem. So Jimmy Kimmel Live will return tomorrow after host was canned over vile Charlie Kirk comments as Disney reveals reason for caving. Now, I just had a conversation with a friend last night, and I told her, I said, the way that they worded these stories, most people will assume that Jimmy Kimmel said something to disparage Charlie Kirk, which he did not. The joke was the president's reaction. The president's reaction. And she said, well, he issued a statement when it first happened. I said, most people, especially those in that right-wing echo chamber, they're not going to get that far. Trust me, I understand this. This is what I do for a living. I see this happen every day. No matter what the truth is, there are going to be some that are going to twist it. They are going to turn it upside down. By the time they get through telling the story, you won't even recognize it. And for those who have already decided that they do not care for anything that seems liberal or woke, or they will not tolerate any criticism of the occupant of the White House, what you see on your screen right now, canned over vile Charlie Kirk comments, that's what they are going to assume. They will never get to what he said. They are going to linger on the comment that you see on the screen. The vile Charlie Kirk comments. They're not going to see anything else. They are going to assume that he had it coming because he made a joke about someone losing their life. And that was not what happened. But trust and believe, there will be millions of people that assumed that they won't even say, well, what did he say? They don't care. They don't care. That doesn't matter. Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes confronted the occupant of the White House, and she said, but why do you say that? Why do you say that? He said, because when you write something bad about me, they won't believe you. Now, do you want to know what that thing was? It was about the way he accused the press of lying. He has repeated the lying this, the lying that, the crooked this, the crooked that, so many times that even though he tells so many fibs in real time, you can't even keep count of it. Leslie Stahl said, why do you say that? And you know that that's not true. He said, because when you tell what he really meant is that when you tell the truth, nobody's going to believe you. Now, if I said to someone who is very anti-media, if I said to them, look at this right here. This is what your candidate said. He said that he lies because he doesn't want you to believe them when they tell the truth. They don't care about that. They don't care. Truth is, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. The truth takes a back seat. What is that favorite quote? Famous quote: "A lie travels around the world before the truth can get his pants on." That's about the size of it. So Disney has lost nearly 4 billion in market value since suspending Jimmy Kimmel. Disney stocks have dropped 7%, and this was as of maybe yesterday afternoon. I don't know what it is now. I don't know what it is now, but they made a terrible, terrible error of judgment, a huge mistake. And let that serve as a lesson to anyone who feels as though they can just jerk the public around like that. This is why, and you guys, I want to see some hands. How many of y'all remember me saying TikTok is not the problem? They don't like TikTok because they cannot control the message. Remember I said that? I've been saying that for about 3 years, that the only reason why they say that Americans ought to be careful, TikTok is going to have your personal information, blah, 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 blah. I said, that is just a ruse. They are saying that because they don't want you to subscribe to TikTok, because those kids on TikTok are given a certain truth that they do not want out there. And even now, they are working feverishly to take ownership away from the current owners of TikTok and put it in the hands of someone just like the people who purchased CBS, people who will control the message. They've already done a certain level of that. There's already software in TikTok that is blocking things left, right, and center, but it doesn't go deep enough. It doesn't go deep enough. I have been saying this for the longest. If they can't control the message, then they'll just give you some cock and bull excuse why you should avoid it. It's terrible. They're going to have your information. So what? Do you know how many people have your information? Do you know how many people have your information? Now, I'm not saying that you should, put your social security and all, but I'm just saying the basic who you are, the basic information to subscribe to something. A lot of people have that information. And considering Jeff Zuckerberg has crawled up into bed with the occupant of the White House, do you trust him more than you trust TikTok? Do you trust him more than you trust TikTok? See my point? There's probably, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of people that are on TikTok without any problem whatsoever. So if someone in China wants my information, I tell you what, if you can do something with my credit score that I haven't been able to do, please show me. Please show me. Okay. So anyway, I'm very passionate about this issue, and I think it is if they're testing the waters to see how far they can go. It's really a test. They want to see how far they can go, how much we will tolerate. It wasn't enough for them to observe the decline of Target. No. Legacy television is dying. Do you really want to test our patience? Is that really what you want to do? As ever official, as ever upcycling from your favorite spread to your new favorite vase. Yes, your new favorite vase or vase. Vase. As you can see, there's a bundle of flowers in the as ever raspberry spread container, a jar. So, but yeah, I've already saved one of mine. Actually, I have two of them that I've saved. And one of them has my pens in it, my writing pens, and the other I'm keeping it in my keepsake box for whatever. I may use it to give someone at Christmas. Put some kind of gift in it. But yeah, I may do that. So this was a post on the As Ever Instagram today. Will Fergie, I'm sorry, Will Fergie. Will King banish Fergie? Will King banish Fergie? I'm sorry, I was a bit distracted. I'm sorry, I was a bit distracted. That face that she's making kind of kind of oh, kind of caught me off guard. Kind of took my breath away like poor Fergie. Oh, let's see. I'm sorry. What does that say here? Mm. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I was watching something one day, and I tell you what, when it comes to your online presence, someone who was taking computer science once told me, just don't piss anybody off. Okay. That's what you want to avoid is to try and not get on anybody's nerves. There was I think they were in Germany, and they did a report about your online privacy using just the reporter's phone number. The the computer person in Germany was able to use their phone. Gosh, I'm not sure I should tell you this, but use their phone to listen to the conversation in the room. They were also able to use the camera on the phone to view what was happening in the room. In other words, if you have that type of advanced technology at your fingertips, you would be amazed at what you can do with someone's smartphone without them even being aware of it. Now, I bet you're saying to yourself, I bet I would know they were recording because the light on the camera would come on, right? Wrong. They can make sure that you have no idea that that is happening. So there are some countries that you visit that they tell you, do not take your phone, do not take your computer. I don't worry about it, and I'm going to tell you why. There are what 330, 340, whatever it is, million Americans. There's about 9 point something billion people on the planet. Um, I just don't think most of us are important enough to national security to even come up on anybody's radar. You understand what I'm saying? The people who do have that technology, fortunately, are usually the people that are authorized to have it. Not that that makes me feel good that anyone has it, but um, just don't put anything out there that you wouldn't want to share publicly. That's the point. And as for uh, you know what's possible to do with your phone like that, those RFID cases, that blocks the radio signal. You could always put your phone in one of those cases when you come home or when you're not using it, and that way your phone is not doing anything that you don't want it to do. It's not subject to any commands. But um, obviously, if someone makes a product, there's always some back door to get into it. But fortunately, there are laws which require us to have privacy, and there should be an assumption of privacy in certain situations, but nothing is foolproof. So, just so you know, um, there's always some back door into electronic devices. The people who create them will always know how to circumvent whatever security is there. Okay? It's just a fact. It's just a fact. But like I said, there's a lot of people in this world, and I don't think most of us would um, warrant that kind of breach of privacy. Yeah, it's always important to reset your device. Thank you, Heather Stroud. Yeah, turn it off every day for as long as you can. It's always good to reset your device. Also, even though we're kind of straying away from the topic, when you're in public, it's easier to just take your charging cable and plug it into one of those USB ports. Don't do that. Take the brick, take the plug, the regular wall socket plug, take that and plug it in. Better to do that, because in certain public places, when you plug in to charge with using just the USB or the C connector or whatever, you are actually making your phone vulnerable to some other kind of software. Do not use someone else's charging cable. If you don't know that person, avoid using their charging cable. Even just the cable, the small, skinny white cable, even that may have the ability to take data off of your phone. So you don't even want to do that. Use your own stuff if possible. Okay? Use your own stuff. It's better for you security wise. Also, avoid using Wi Fi that you are not familiar with. Oh, see there, Heather Stroud. I don't know. We just got this weird connection. See how that popped up as soon as I said it? Avoid using Wi Fi that you're not familiar with. Okay. All right. Let's get back on topic. But listen, you guys, um, it's good to know these things. We have to understand the technology that we're using. We should understand it. Okay? We're more than just the Harry and Meghan news here. Maurice Brown says, I have not watched network television or watched my Lakers, Chicago Bears, NASCAR, or listened to and call into talk radio since that person and his sidekick. They are making things difficult for us, that's for certain. They're making things very difficult for us. Okay. Um, Will King banished Fergie. Again, my heart goes out to Sarah Ferguson. I've been hearing things about her that I didn't know. They said that even Queen Elizabeth had to settle some of her debts. I don't know how true that is. I'm just telling you some of the stuff that I've heard. Wild spending sprees. I can believe it because Sarah Ferguson has a very spontaneous personality. and I'm sure she's a good time to be around. I mean, just imagine when you're out with Sarah Ferguson, you don't know what's going to happen next. One day you are out to lunch, another day you're sitting poolside, and suddenly she's put her foot in your mouth. You just don't know what's going to happen with her. But that's why she's so much fun. I mean, how many times have you been sitting poolside with someone and next thing you know, their foot ends up in your mouth? Never happened to me, but you know what? I'm not going to knock it. I mean, I'll do anything once and twice if I like it. So, uh, uh, yeah, I mean, I've never had someone sit poolside topless and stick their whole foot in my mouth, but let's see what happens. The problem is that Fergie didn't get as much from her divorce as Diana. Additionally, that family iced her out from most functions. We see what they tried to do to Harry and Meghan. Who knows what they did to her? Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And like I said, my heart goes out to her. She is the mother of two princesses, not one but two. Even though I have a very strong sense of fair play, and I do like for people to function in the most honest way with as much integrity as possible, I do make certain exceptions, and this is one of them because, after all, she is part of that family. And I do believe that she should not have to live hand to mouth or walk around with hat in hand begging for scraps. That would be very undignified and also very unfair. Um, and as Legs pointed out, she did not do very well with the divorce settlement. As far as I'm concerned, if you have been a president of the United States, if you have been a vice president of the United States, I do not want to ever see a president or vice president, former, of course, living in poverty. I think that would be undignified. I wouldn't want to see any prime minister of the United Kingdom or otherwise um, living in poverty after they've served their governments respectively. I wouldn't want to see them living in poverty. Sarah Ferguson's children are in a constitutional position. Their birth is part of the living, breathing document of the Constitution, unwritten, of course. But the point is, her children are in the line of succession, councils of state. Their mother was actually gifted a cemetery plot where she will be honored with a burial in the Frogmore Cemetery. But Sarah Ferguson also needs to do the work. She needs to get a handle on her finances. This is not a one of, this is something that has been going on for quite some time. She and Andrew have champagne taste and beer bottle pockets. They want the good life. They want the good life. And Sarah Ferguson has worked very hard with her biscuits and children's books and so on and so forth. She is living, as far as I know, living rent free with her ex husband. But then I also heard that she purchased a rather expensive townhouse in, what was it, Mayfair? You don't give someone a stick to hit you in the head with. Do not help your enemies. They wanted her daughters to live a, what is that? Live a princess life without giving funds to do so. She didn't have contacts like Meghan did. She was stuck in England, and the British royal family probably had some influence. In other words, you think they wanted to just see her suffer. Charles has gone out of his way to subsidize his former mistress, Camilla. He has subsidized her children, right? As a matter of fact, it has been reported that there's a trust fund for her children. And I believe that the purchase of that additional property next door to Camilla's, what is that, Ray Mill home, was purchased for Camilla's privacy. I say it was purchased so that there will be an even split upon the death of Camilla, whenever that happens, upon the death of Charles, whenever that happens, that those kids will receive his and hers, boy and girl, they will receive a property each. Obviously, the boy is going to get the Ray Mill, and I believe the daughter, Laura Lopez or whatever her name is, she's going to get that other property. I'm just, making this up in my head, but I do believe that to be true. That they are going to be very well taken care of upon the death of the king. But likewise, I think that Sarah does need to learn the value of money and keep herself out of trouble. But it's a two-way street. They need to also make sure that she lives accordingly as a duchess. I mean, she is a duchess. She's not just a duchess, she's a royal duchess. Her husband is a prince. But they also have to be accountable for their actions. Otherwise, this embarrassment is going to continue. Their grandmother paid for their nannies and education. If they had settled that money on Fergie, she would have spent it. Yeah, in all likelihood, she would have spent it. They said the Queen, I don't know how true this is, but they said the Queen has had to settle some of her debts. Fergie has a wild and spontaneous personality. And I do believe that she has probably an excessive behavior thing going on, and that there's a lot she can do for herself. Mm, yeah. Yeah, I think she lacks judgment. Terrible look for Kate for sure. Oh, what did I miss? Yes, 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 yes. I was going to get to that. Deflection from this. Make no mistake, they sat on this story until that state visit was over to deflect. Deflection. Deflection for protection. Yes, they had to protect their precious Kate. And what better way to do that than to throw Fergie under the bus? What better way to do that than to throw Fergie under the bus? I don't think that this story is such a big deal. It's from what, 10 years ago. This is old news. This is old news. This happened a long time ago. And the person she emailed is long since dead. So what difference does it make? Why even make a big stink about it? It's unfortunate. As much as I do believe that Sarah Ferguson has been reckless, she has been reckless. Like anything else, none of this stuff would be news if they haven't told you about it. Unfortunately, I decided to take a trip over to enemy territory. One of the biracial content creators, I'll let you decide which one. One of the biracial, and by the way, do not put their name on the screen. Do not do that. One of the biracial content creators decided to explain how she got into the whole thing about the royal family. And I could tell you, she knows very little about that institution. She knows very little about the people in the institution. And that includes the person that she has been hypercritical of, Meghan. She knows very little. Everything is a headline. And she said the reason why she got involved is because she found out that none of her family was at the wedding, and she thought that was strange. She found out that Meghan had friends that she blew off after, whatever period of time, and she didn't think that was right. She listed all of these things that they say about Meghan, which I'm sure they could say about any of us if they decided to. And she listed those as the reasons why, for 5 flipping years, she has gone on this uh, rage of criticism of Meghan. She's not over it yet, and she won't get over it until the money dries up. And then on top of that, she decided that she would teach these evil traits to a family member so that they could know how to exploit and exploit and exploit. Um, it's really disgusting. It really is. And I can tell this person, as a matter of fact, let me see. It was the notorious, what is it, TMJ, JMT, TM, what, the one I'm talking about, the one we all love so much. That's why I had to take a look, is because he had made a video about her and what a fraud she is, and how she has tried and tried and tried fame, reality fame, and just never got that far. How she entered a pageant and accused the winner of, having fixed the thing. And now I know that person much better. But let me tell you, for as many opportunities that she's had to make it big, this is as good as it's ever going to get for her. This is as good as it's ever going to get. She will build her legacy on trashing another uh, biracial woman. That is what she will build her legacy upon. Not that she ever won a pageant, not that she made it big on reality TV. That's as good as it gets. And now she's teaching her child the business, which made me so sad. I'm looking at this child and I'm thinking to myself, do you know what mommy does for a living? Do you know how mommy is keeping the power on with this disingenuous dislike for someone she's never met? That is those are the ones that really pain me. You too are biracial and under Africa I mean, and of African descent. It is not easy being biracial. It really is not. And I don't think people really understand what someone of mixed race heritage goes through. People think that, I mean, let's face it, there are some stunning people that are of mixed race. Stunning, absolutely beautiful, the best of all worlds. Blessed, if you will. And they think that life for them is like this ongoing, um, I guess, holiday. Everything goes their way. But straddling two different worlds is some of the most difficult stuff you'd ever have to survive. It's not easy. It's just like if you're a person, you identify as black, but your complexion is very light. The hell that they go through on a daily basis. I mean, it's tough being a kid no matter what. But I just think people are confused about biracial people or people with a very fair complexion because they think that everything goes their way and everything is easy. But it's a whole nother pain. It's a whole nother um, set of problems that's associated with that. So anyway, that is like one of the things that I think people are just waking up to. And there's been so much judgment on Meghan for her appearance, um, for you know being biracial, who her friends are, um, who does she identify with in the family. And the truth is, it's none of our business. I don't care. I really, really don't care who she's closest to. That's going too far. Trying to decide, does she associate with the right people? Judge her by the content of her character. Nothing else. Don't define her character by some set of rules that you have. It's not fair. Yes, please hit the like button. Please hit that like button. Thumbs up, you guys. Thumbs up. Okay. So anyway, Duchess of York dropped as patron of Children's Hospice over those emails. I am very sorry that this is happening. What I hate this. I hate this because Sarah Ferguson, no matter what fault she may have, when it comes to those charities, she could do a lot of good. But now that they have, um, you know, tainted her name with these emails that are God knows how old, some of these charities are going to suffer. And it's just unfortunate. I just think in the big picture, it's not that important now. That man is long since gone. Gone. It's okay for Queen Elizabeth to accept jewelry visiting countries that could barely afford, uh, to keep their power grid up. Queen Elizabeth has accepted very, very expensive gifts from countries where people are still hungry, where there's still levels of poverty. And then those gifts go into the royal collection. They're not auctioned, they're loaned to museums. One of the richest people in the world, and they're still giving her gifts. Now she's gone, and those gifts belong to the rest of the family, to Charles, and whatever he wants to do with it. But one thing he won't do, he won't auction it off for a charity. That's not going to happen. So, anyway, I'm sorry this happened to Sarah. Um, I hope that she has a chance to redeem herself. I don't think it's such a big deal. I think it is a distraction, and I think it's very unfortunate. Um, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. All these years they've been trying to compare Meghan. All these years they've been trying to compare Harry. There's the main perpetrators right there. Thank you, Benjamin Padilla. You're absolutely right. Some of the tainted gifts that Queen Elizabeth received. Um, I just do. I just do. I don't think she's a bad person. Um, I do believe she needs to be responsible for her actions, but I believe that she has um, issues with impulse control. Now, I cannot diagnose her. Number one, I don't have the credentials. Number two, I don't know her. I haven't spent any time with her. But as an outside observer and having experienced people in my life that seem to have very poor impulse control, I think I recognize it. I think I recognize it. And that is it's a curse and a blessing. It's a blessing because she's just fun to be around. She's very childlike in some respects. And it's a curse because she gets herself in trouble. She causes embarrassment for her children. Both of their parents are notorious. We witnessed one of the girls at Philip's memorial in tears. So, yeah, I do feel for her. Maybe she needs medication. Maybe she needs therapy. But I just think there's a diagnosis there. That's all. So Prince Harry went from hanging out in royal palaces to hanging out awards, handing out, that is, awards to first responders and real aviation pilots in Kevin Costner's backyard. What a moron. Now, that was supposed to be an insult. The thing is, if you look at it another way, I know this was meant to be a diss toward Prince Harry, but it reads like a compliment. Imagine saying, paying respects to real life first responders and pilots who sacrificed their lives to keep us safe is a downgrade from eating dry, unsalted chicken in an out of touch palace. uh, yeah, that I think it was meant to be an insult, but real people that are not choking on their bias understand what's going on here. Anything to distract from that state dinner, which did not go over very well. So they decide to drag Harry and Meghan as usual. Anytime Harry has something to do with an award show or he's receiving an award, it seems to just put everybody's nose out of joint. They are so triggered when the Sussexes are in these situations. At least they showed up. William didn't even go to the BAFTAs because he had a plane to catch. He went on vacation. So this is obviously something that the Sussexes are going to do for a long time. Get used to it. Don't knock it. And if you look at the comments further, let me see here. It says, who wrote this? Aren't they very, I'm sorry, who wrote this? They aren't very smart about it. You are correct. It reads like a compliment. Who's the real moron? I like that. Followed by, furthermore, Prince Harry told us that his rooms in the royal palaces were usually the worst ones there, which is true. Some of the staff, some of the help had better accommodations than Harry. And deliberately so. Deliberately so. They just gave him something beneath his position because they could get away with it. It was part of that mind control to make sure that he understood that he is never to assume that he's more important or equal to his brother. I think that was part of it. Mm. Oh, that's interesting, Benjamin Padilla. Yeah, and what's wrong with handing out awards? They just try to create a stigma for everything the Sussexes do. Okay, so let's go here. Now, I believe this was in response to the other post. I believe that that's the way this is. It says here part-time Prince Wills, Duke of Cambridge, works just 20 hours a week for the air ambulance. Prince William spent an average of 80 hours per month working as an air ambulance helicopter pilot, right? Also, Will's wingman to the rescue. Prince's bodyguard helps him tend to injured man, but is he taking the place of a paramedic? That's interesting. Lazy William has just worked 100 hours this year. Anyway, if you look at the thread there, it says, I know this was meant to, okay, sorry, past that one. Prince William was an air ambulance pilot. He was literally a real first responder. I know you all love Harry and Meghan, and good for you, but credit where it's due. Well, in response to that, easily brainwashed idiots fall for the optics. Those with common sense, critical thinkers will see beyond the propaganda. Prince William was there for the optics, not to serve. Do you know who actually did the work and how often how often the pretend rescuer, aka Workshy William, actually worked? William found every excuse in the book to avoid work. A lot of people covered for William. Anytime William made the choice, he could just um, avoid work. He did that um, several times. A matter of fact, didn't he get in trouble for just taking one of the helicopters and using it as though it was for recreation? These photos of William were planned, just like William selling the big book. That was planned. Just like Kate going to that, what was it, a baby bank or whatever? That was planned. Will and Kate go to the food bank. That was planned. Photographers and videographers at the ready. So that's what that person means when they say, easily brainwashed idiots fall for the optics. That's all this is about. That's the one thing that William and Kate have in common. They don't work. They have never worked. They show up to get credit for having the position, and then they don't work. And all these years later, nothing has changed. They still do the exact same thing that they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Lots of play acting. Just like they pretend Kate did not work on a yacht. Someone said, oh, no, she didn't. She wasn't a yacht girl. She was a deckhand. She was what? A deckhand. And she was a deckhand on what? The Queen Mary? The QE2? Or was it a yacht? It was a yacht. She was a deckhand on a yacht. She was paid to be on a yacht. She's a girl that worked on a yacht, which means she was what? A yacht girl. See how that works out? I use critical thinking and common sense. So, using my common sense, I said to myself, no, using my critical thinking, I said to myself, if she's a deckhand and she's working on a yacht, common sense says she's a girl. She's a yacht girl. That's it. It doesn't get any more complicated. Kate Middleton was a yacht girl. And now she's the future queen consort. and they want to rewrite the history. And even worse, they're trying to put Meghan on the yacht. It's okay. Whatever Kate Middleton had to do to get by, to meet rich men, just like her sister, you got to do what you got to do. And these people that rented the yacht worked for some of the biggest companies in Europe. And the fact that some of those people are on a certain list, the fact that some of those people are on a certain list is just a coincidence. Just like it was a huge coincidence that the Immaculate Heart of Kate happened to be at the same party with another billionaire, Sir Richard Branson. Not just at the party, they arrived together, they left together. I mean, what better time to learn some tips to help your parents' business than in the middle of the night at somebody's house party? Duh. And the fact that Richard Branson was old enough to be her daddy is of no consequence. He's a good businessman, and Kate was trying to help her parents by learning business. Woo! uh, Kate was a night working lady on the yacht and other places. uh, Duke of Sussex features in film calling for investment to end AIDS. Funding cuts are affecting countries with high HIV rates by creating shortages of community health workers and data collectors. Was that UNAIDS said? UNAIDS. UNAIDS or UNAIDS? UNAIDS. Oh, well. This was in the Standard. So the Duke of Sussex will voice fears that drastic cuts could reverse progress against HIV and AIDS in a new short film to premiere at the United Nations General Assembly. Funding cuts are affecting countries with high HIV rates, including Eswatini, Mozambique, and South Africa, by creating shortages of community health workers and data collectors. The United Nations and AIDS program warned by 2029, 6 million people could become newly infected with HIV and 4 million could die from AIDS related illnesses if funding is not fully restored. The film, produced by Hollywood Oscar nominated Ron Niswaner, will premiere at the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Monday and show world leaders the devastating impact of recent funding cuts and urge them to recommit to ending AIDS by 2030. By the way, elections have consequences. Every time I see this, I think about those people that questioned how African Americans were voting in the last election. You know how we were voting? We were voting for humanity. We weren't just voting to save ourselves, we were voting for everyone. One of the things that is overlooked by a lot of people who have migrated to the United States. There was a time when you couldn't come here unless you came from Europe. That's it. If you didn't come from Europe, you couldn't come. But it's been the contribution of African Americans that made it possible for other people, including Africans, to migrate to the United States, to remove the roadblock. There was a period of 40 years where they just would not allow it. And even longer than that, but exclusively for 40 years. The answer was no. Thank African Americans for helping to open that door. Members of Congress and such. African Americans who worked in the State Department and such. So when people vilify African Americans for their voting habits, they ought to consider some of the things that a lot of people have relied upon thanks to the voting habits of African Americans. So, UN AIDS. Okay, that's how you say it. UN AIDS. I was like, UNAIDS. UN AIDS. Charlize Theron, African Outreach Project, and Archwell partnered for this. Oh, thank you so much, TMCD. Thank you so much for the super sticker and for being a member of Royal Sussex. So the video, which I don't think I can play it here, or can I? No, you know what? I better not. It features Charlize Theron, actor, founder of CTAOP, and UN Messenger of Peace. By the way, Charlize Theron is 50 years old. I repeat, Charlize Theron is 50 years old. And in case you didn't hear me, Charlize Theron is 50. God, she looks good. She looks good. If she's had some work or she didn't, doesn't matter. She looks good. Good for you, Charlize. And then, of course, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, co-founder of the Archwell Foundation. Looking good, Harry, looking good. Also, there's Fabian Cusada, there's Magic Johnson, and Adiswa Cindy. Let me see. Both left and right, they are AIDS activists, as well as Magic Johnson, NBA Hall of Famer, entrepreneur. It's a beautifully produced video if you have a chance to see it. By the way, I did link the video to the community tab. So if you have not seen the video, just go to the community post on Royal Sussex and you'll find it. Actor and youth advocate, Thuso, let's see, Mabedi, Mabidu. Oh, Mabidu. I think that's right. She also is featured in the video. And did I tell you that Harry looks good? Harry looks good. He was also in the video. So you can see it on the community post. Isn't that adorable? How cute is that? How cute is that? I just like the picture. I thought I would share it with you. Okay, got a sound bite for you guys. Got a sound bite. It's not bad, I promise. It's not bad at all. I promise you. We'll talk on the other side. Wow, this chair. Do you guys remember that chair that I had that was so bad? Listen to this one. Yep, I got this chair crying the blues just like the other one. Yep, this chair is crying the blues. This chair is yelling, "Get your chubby ass off of me. You're too big. Get off of me."
Welcome to Royal Exclusive. With me in the studio today is and the Sun's royal editor, and welcome to Royal Exclusive. With me in the studio today is legendary royal photographer Arthur Edwards and Sky's royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills. Welcome both.
Hello.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Really nice to be here.
Rhiannon, am I right? You did have a conversation with Prince Harry about his hopes becoming his parental hopes at one stage a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? It was amazing. It was that trip that we did to New Zealand. I'd only been doing the royal job for about 3 months, and at the time there was still so much interest in William and Kate, and Princess Charlotte had just been born. There was a general election, and I was like, do you know what? Let's go to New Zealand and I'll see if I can get a chat with him. And they said yes. They were like, yeah, it's fine. And it was a real turning point for him because he was about to leave the army. So I was like, this is a great time to have a chat with him. And a bit of a backstory to it. Literally the day before, I was made to go up to the bungalow where he was staying on Stewart Island, this really remote island. I had to get a lift with a rat catcher who moved all of her like rubbish into the back of the car, got me in the car, drove me up to this bungalow. And I'd never met him before. And so we had a little chat about the kind of things we talk about. And he was like, you can ask me whatever you want, but I might not answer it. And the other thing that he said to me at the time, because I was asking him about William and Kate moving out to Norfolk. And I said to him, have you ever thought about moving away? And he was like, yeah, I'd love to move away, but I can't because of what I need to do to support the Queen. And that has just stuck with me forever in terms of, he didn't say it on camera, he just said it in a really candid chat with me. And so whenever anyone says to me, it was Meghan's fault that they left, that conversation always springs to mind because he always had it in him, this potential to jump. And I think Meghan came along and said, hold my hand and we'll jump together.
But it was a sense of duty that kept him there. Then there was a sense of duty to the Queen that meant that he didn't want to jump.
Yeah, and then how things changed. But then within the interview, I did sort of ask him whatever I wanted to ask him. And I said, Princess Charlotte's just been born. Would you like to have kids? And he came out with this brilliant line. I'd love to have kids right now, but there's a process that you have to go through, to which his communications team kind of took a bit of an intake of breath, like, oh my goodness, why did he say that? But then he also went on to say about how he just wanted to have someone alongside him to support him. And then what was it? A couple of years later, he met Meghan. Yeah. But yeah, that line, it went global. It just went mad. But that was a great trip. That was Harry.
I remember that Stewart Island trip because we remember the quiz night.
Yes.
It was the press at their own table and Harry had his table.
Yeah, like how different is this? That we were all in this same little pub on a remote island. It's mad.
And we know the press.
Oh, shut up, Arthur Edwards. Just shut up. Just shut up. Yep. Your socks ain't long enough. Your suit is old as Moses. Just shut up. So tired of listening to you. God. Did you hear all that making them old man's noises and stuff while she trying to talk? Just shut up. God. Just go home and give yourself an enema and shut up. Sick of you. You hear me? Sick. I'm just sick of you. Got that old man smell. Smell like old tobacco and tea bags. Just shut up. Sick of you. Anyway, wait, can you all hear me? I am. I'm so sick of her. I don't know what to do. Just sick of her. You know, somebody told me one time, they say, I can tell when you over somebody because you beat and changed their gender. Anyway, you know, I don't dislike Rihanna Mills. Sometimes she can be very truthful. All of them work with a certain level of bias on behalf of the royal family. And oh God, I tried to listen to someone today. I don't think their channel has been around for a long time, but they claim to be an insider, that they have worked in PR, that they have worked in the tabloids before, and certain things sounded pretty fair. But then it was almost zero criticism of Will and Kate. As a matter of fact, very tolerant of Will and Kate, very much an apologist for Will and Kate. She said that Will and Kate used to have the name lazy this, lazy that. But people don't recognize that they have been discreetly and quietly keeping the institution together. Well, first of all, they have no choice but to keep things together. Second of all, everybody knows that William and Kate are not well, whether it's mentally, physically, or both, that they are coming undone. They're like wires that are all frayed and liable to short. But she pretends as though they are the epitome of what a well-rounded heir and his consort, what they could possibly be. That there's no defects, there's no blemish on their record. And she was doing good until she started making it sound as though they could not put a foot wrong. And that people were unfair to say Weighty Katie or Duchess Doolittle and all that stuff. That's where she lost me. Now, I wasn't expecting her to go out of her way to uplift the Sussexes, but when Meghan's name came up, or should I say when Meghan's name came out of her mouth, she swore up and down that Meghan had said these terrible things about the royal family. Disgusting things, I think she put it. And that's just not true. Meghan told of things as she experienced it. Meghan has a right to share her experience, to tell her story. Meghan said nothing negative about the Queen, nothing negative about Philip. Most of her frustration was directed at Catherine because of the way she behaved with the wedding. Kate was a monster. William, even worse. But this person who otherwise is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was really into what she was saying. And then I realized that her real her real weakness is Will and Kate. That's where she is very flawed, where she gives them the benefit of the doubt. She refuses to criticize them, and God knows there's plenty there. That is so disingenuous. If you have nothing critical whatsoever to say about Will and Kate, then you're a fraud. You're a fraud. Because there is plenty there. There's so many occasions when they have been unaccountable, when they have not shown up. Before Kate's whatever illness, she did not work. And it's even worse now because now she has an excuse. And there's no excuse on God's green earth why Will and Kate work less than Charles or Princess Anne or anybody else in that institution. There are no excuses. They treat them like they're children. So I subscribed, and within minutes, I unsubscribed. I was going to take the chance of listening to this person and learning from whatever experience that she says she has. And she sounds very legitimate. But the thing is, her bias outweighs any contribution that she could ever make. And it's just like Professor Tim Wilson. As brilliant as I think he is, his bias always wins the day. His loathing for Meghan, which he can barely hide, his discontent for the Duchess of Sussex, is very difficult for him to hide that. And I get frustrated because you guys think that because I listen to these people, that somehow I am legitimizing them and their message. When the truth is, I'm only there to learn like anybody else. If you look between the lines, you can learn a whole lot. But I'm not a very outwardly emotional person when people say things that I don't like. I just let them talk because there's some good information there. But I don't want you guys to ever think that I don't see them for who they are. Don't ever assume that I don't see them for who they are. And it's unfortunate that just like Robert Jobson knows where the money comes from, and he's going to defer to that every time. If there was ever a day when he actually worked as a real journalist and was a bit, honest and unbiased, God, we could really get somewhere. Not that I want him to do that for Harry and Meghan's sake, but just to set the record straight. Just to set the record straight. But unfortunately, like with so many of them, you have to read between the lines. You have to step in a lot of poop to get to the point. There's some good articles that really take the royal family to task. They really examine a lot of their faults. But in order to get there, they have to say something disparaging about the Sussexes. They just have to. They cannot miss the opportunity to drag them to get to the point. Tina Brown has an article that's very interesting. Actually, was it her article or was she being quoted in the article? I think she's being quoted in the article. But to get to it, we have to drag Harry first. That's the only way we can get to the point. is we have to drag him first. They have to appease the people that support that institution and everything that's wrong with it. You know, what is that? The Daily Mail's YouTube channel, that Royal Report that they do, they lost a lot of subscribers, a lot, because they didn't like the fact that they were asking legitimate questions about Will and Kate. They would not stand for it. It's okay for them to say and do whatever to Harry and Meghan, but what is that saying? That when you're used to privilege, that something feels like, oh gosh, what is that saying? When you're accustomed to privilege, that fairness seems like oppression. That's not the exact words, but essentially that's what it is. That's the meaning of it. And so if they have an unbiased report on the royal family, with not including Harry and Meghan, then all of a sudden they vilify the journalists for telling the truth. Oh, there it is right there. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Remember that. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Let me do this so you can take a screenshot. Ready for it? Here goes. There you go. Take a screenshot. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Oh, I got one that's even better than that. Let me try that one. Well, I don't think it makes the same impact, but very interesting. Just the same. Very interesting. Let me grab that other one. Okay. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Desmond Tutu. There you go. Okay, now let's get to those pics. This one is a new one from Ukraine. That one photographer that took all those stunning black and white photos, he just shared this one recently. Hey, Antoinette Kennedy. Again, this photographer has, oh my goodness, he has given, I mean, it's not a competition, but Misan Harriman, eat your heart out. This guy is good. This guy is good. Huh? He does the black and white photos very, very well. Yeah, you really do have to study people like that. But that bias, they cannot let go of their bias. If they could just stop speaking in the voice of these tabloids. That lady that I listened to, she has hostility for Meghan. Her whole tone changed when she mentioned Meghan. And I'm going to be very frank. I'm going to be very frank about this. I think that she identifies and is very sympathetic to the white English woman, Kate. And she has nothing but hostility for that American of African descent, Meghan. The shift in her tone was breathtaking because she identifies with Kate. Kate is more like her than Meghan will ever be. And therefore, commoner Kate deserves all the patience and sympathy and consideration, whereas hardworking, well-educated Meghan should be looked upon with suspicion, should be treated with a certain loathing that she has rescued Harry from his circumstances. I mean, just very biased. Very, very biased. And sure, all of us have our own biases. We all have certain bias that that comes natural. A lot of us have to identify with someone in order to feel strongly about them. But there's other ways to measure. And also, if you have a sense of fair play, you can see beyond those biases. I just couldn't believe it. It was just like the shift in tone at the very mention of Meghan. Despicable. That was one of the words that she said, despicable. The despicable things that she said about our queen. That's a lie. Thank you, Mary H. Okay, and then this is from the 805, the 1805. This one, yes, you've seen this. But have you seen this one? Or this one? Yeah, maybe that one. But what about the one on the right? I don't think you've seen that one. And maybe not the one on the right here. Maybe not that one. Or is it the one on the left? I don't know. This one, I've only seen this for the first time this afternoon. Hey, Connie Balmer. I told you guys I was so frustrated because I'm like, there's got to be more photos out there. Where are they? Why are they hiding them? I love this one here. This is very Misan, although it's not him, but this looks very Misan Harriman. Kevin Costner still looking good. Kevin Costner has turned into the silver Spock, not Spock, the silver fox Spock. Anyway, still looking good, Kev. Still looking good. Also, 70 years old. What is she, 71 now? Oprah is 70, 71. She looks good. Wow, she looks good. Okay, okay, she looks good. And then, of course, every so often, Oprah has this little tick in mid-conversation, it occurs to her how rich she is, and she just throws her head back and starts laughing. See what I mean? I don't know what they're talking about, but all of a sudden she just throws her head back. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm rich." There's a little tick she has. I don't blame her. I wouldn't even seek treatment for that. Don't even seek treatment. Go shopping. Yeah. The only treatment for that is to go shopping. Yeah. That's the only treatment for that. I mean, she looks good. You know, guys, Harry is just better at everything. And yes, he's more attractive. That's it. You just, William, for some reason, has morphed into something weird. And Harry is just good looking and super, super talented. Far more talented than his brother. And that's just a fact. And that's why his brother's so hateful and evil and jealous. How Prince William is being eased into his future role. As royal expert claims there are dangers ahead for the royal family, he sometimes seems to forget there is a hierarchy and that he ranks one below his father. Zandy Sussex says, as direct heir, he, William, sometimes seemed to forget, whether by accident or design, that there is a hierarchy and that he ranks one below his father. And deference does not appear to be in William's vocabulary when it comes to the king. That is a problem. That is a problem. Please, sir, may I have another? Please, sir, may I have another? Hey, ladies, can I have another? Ma'am or sir, may I have another? Please. William had a rotten 18 months. Many have remarked he appears unusually somber. And not just when standing next to Prince Andrew, now royal author Ann Wilson reveals what's eating William. So I guess because this article did not go over well, they were trying to make up, to make people more sympathetic and understanding at the fact that William refuses to do work. William always looks like he's nursing a hangover or whatever. William looks pretty bad most days, and that's just the truth. Some days he seems to have his stuff together, and other days he seems very sad and solemn or angry and moody. He is a lesson in contradictions. So, Marie Claire, how Prince William is being eased into his future role. As a royal expert claims, there are dangers ahead for the royal family. Now, that particular article, I hope I still have that. Oh, Lord, I think I didn't. What did I do with it? Okay, I don't need that anymore. Don't need that. Ah, there it is. I found it. So, following King Charles' cancer diagnosis in 2024, Prince William began taking on a more central role within the royal family, representing his father at multiple events and engagements. Several royal sources have since suggested that the Prince of Wales has started preparing for his future role as monarch. Does that sound strange to you too? Does that sound strange? William has known since he could remember that he's going to be king one day. Several royal sources have suggested that the Prince of Wales has started preparing for his future role as monarch. I repeat, seems like he should have been working on that some time ago. The fact that it took until age 40 for him to have his hallmark cause, the earth flop, it took him 40 years to establish earth flop. By that time, Harry was 21. There was Scintillale. And then, of course, by the time Harry was what? 25? No, not 25. When did he start the Invictus? 27? No, it wasn't 27. Was it like 30? Well, it had to be 30 something. 32, 31, 32. Anyway, he started Scintillale. And in between, he had been nothing but an asset to the Queen and the Crown, as well as being in the army for 2 tours of duty. Well established. Whereas William, there's no way to account for the time. Where did the time go? Where did the time go? What has he been doing for 40-something years if he wasn't thinking about being king? Inquiring minds want to know. Let's see. Leg says, hasn't he lived in that family all his life? Easing? Cheers. Thank you very much, Legs. Yeah, he's easing into the role. Easing. Don't want to do anything too fast now. Several royal sources have which include figuring out the kind of king he wants to be. Good God, are they serious? Part of his easing into the future role as monarch, which includes figuring out what kind of king he wants to be. A royal expert reported that Prince William is actually being eased into kingship while dangers lie ahead for the monarchy. Do you want to know what the danger is for the monarchy? William is the danger. Let's see here. Writing for the Daily Mail, royal expert Ann Wilson revealed a conversation he once had with Princess Diana in which she shared her fear for the monarchy would end after Charles' death. However, Wilson also noted that the Prince of Wales is attempting to carve out a new version of the royal family. William is already being eased into the future role. Wilson explained the king delegates more to him than many realize, according to ex-courtier, and he sits in many meetings that were once run by his father. Y'all know I don't believe that, don't you? You all know I do not believe that. I believe that A.N. Wilson is trying to make it seem as though William has been extremely busy and that he's been doing more work behind the scenes than we are aware of. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I think that's rubbish. While both King Charles and Prince William carry out a plethora of official engagements, Now, see, that's a lie right there. William does very little. The monarch is allegedly leaning on his eldest son more often in recent months, as well as being present for numerous public events. William reportedly oversees the shoots at Balmoral and Sandringham, a key job among family roles, according to Ann Wilson. Oversees the shoots at Balmoral and Sandringham. Am I looking at that right? SHOOTS. What? What is that? Oversees the shoots at Balmoral and Sandringham, a key job among family roles. What does that mean, Hazel? What are they saying? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I mean, is it literally what it says or what? Are they talking about pheasant hunting or what or something like that? Despite needing to stand in for King Charles on occasion, Prince William is reportedly planning for a very different kind of kingship compared to his father. As Wilson wrote for the outlet, it is becoming apparent that William likes to do things his own way. Or, as a senior member of the royal household who has observed the father son dynamic put it, as direct heir, he sometimes seems to forget, whether by accident or design, that there is a hierarchy and that he ranks below his father. Thank you, Legs. Thank you very much. He oversees the shoots. He oversees the shoots. What does that mean? Of course, it's unclear whether or not Charles is concerned with his son's alternate approach to the crown, or if he supports the forthcoming era of the royal family. But as a source close to the situation told Wilson, deference does not appear to be in William's vocabulary when it comes to the king. As an observer of the royal family's evolution, Wilson expressed concern for some of the changes William has begun implementing, suggesting there are dangers ahead for the monarchy. William appears to want things to be more casual, the expert noted. Wilson also emphasized William's assertion that his son, Prince George, wouldn't be forced to serve in the military unless he chooses to do so. That is, however, as monarch is someone whose role is deeply entwined with the life of the armed forces, Wilson worried the lack of experience in that area could be taken as failure to grasp the job specifications. The ability to maintain public affection for the institution of the monarchy is also key to William's future role. The king in waiting needs to make a case for if he is not, or make the case, that is, for it, or he is not to find himself booted out by a hostile public, Wilson claims. He will need to work hard and employ his mother's radiant and irresistible charm to do so. Royal expert wrote, it would seem that Prince of Wales has quite an overwhelming task ahead of him. If he hasn't done this by now, what makes you think he can change? He's not going to change. He was lazy 20 years ago, and he's lazy now. He was aloof 20 years ago, and he's still aloof now. He had a bad temper, incandescent with rage, moody 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and nothing has changed. He's still the same a-hole he was 20 years ago. I would not expect him to change anything. William has determined to shuffle the deck. He wants to remake the monarchy. Charles was obsessed with his slimmed down monarchy, and William is obsessed with his monarchy with a small r. William does not want to be head of the church. He's not very religious. So don't look forward to him getting involved with the church. And also, William is going to follow Harry. Whatever Harry is doing, William is going to try to make his own version of it, whether it's growing a beard or finding an estate that they can turn into a quasi Montecito mansion. He dresses like Harry on occasion. Kate dresses like Meghan on too many occasions. They're not leading, they're following. I tell you one thing that I just realized, that whole obsession with winning over the United States, winning over the Americans, I don't see that William and Kate are really trying to do that as much lately. Remember how obsessed they were with trying to make it in the US? And there's no talk of any North American tour whatsoever. Yeah, none of that seems to be a thing. But I tell you what, I wonder how long the public is going to tolerate that from Kate. They are going to expect Kate to get out there and do some things. And people's patience is wearing thin. Anyway, I submit to you the future of the British monarchy. This is the future of the monarchy. Good luck, Britain. Jobson, Prince William can be offhanded and volatile and lacking in deference. Now, Robert Jobson has spent a lot of time with Charles III. Robert Jobson has on occasion, and I mean over the years, on quite a few occasions, he seems to have written articles, and in this case, written a book that has been a cautionary tale for William. I believe Charles will not confront William directly, but I do believe that Clarence House has been briefing in a way to somehow cajole or control or guide William in many ways over the years. It's all in the article. It's a warning, a cautionary tale, guidance, instructions, all of those things. What William does with that, I don't know. Whether he even pays attention to it, I don't know. But they have been trying to speak to him indirectly for quite some time. It does not seem to take effect at all. The impression non-existent. Phyllis Brothers says the press have commented on William's lack of respect for Charles while he demands deference for himself. In private, however, those close to him say William, while being a dedicated servant of the crown, can be offhanded and volatile, defying his calm family guy demeanor. It is this chameleon-like characteristic that makes his father, Prince Charles, tread carefully when dealing with his son and heir. Theirs have been a complex relationship. Indeed, it was with Harry that Charles enjoyed a closer relationship before he bolted to America with new wife Meghan. William demands deference from those royally ranked below him, but in truth, when looking upward, he rarely gives it. So he's demanding from people below him deference, like when he was expecting Harry and Meghan to dress up for that roasted chicken dinner, when they were surprised that Meghan answered the door in ripped jeans and bare feet. Very California. Alleged anger issues span years. A Mirror U.S. News report, let me see. Oh, no, it's just the Mirror U.S. Edition, citing former royal photographer and commentator Ian Pelham Turner, claims that Prince William has become more formal in recent years, allegedly insisting on being addressed as Sir and not by his first name. Turner also alleged that staff have described him as very aggressive at times, though these claims have not been independently verified. Over the years, reports have described William as having a temper that the press rarely addresses. Observers have long suggested that the palace sometimes uses Meghan as a distraction for the future king's alleged aggression. Like I said, the only danger ahead for the future of the monarchy is William. Now, on to this, the happiest story on earth, 70 years of Disneyland. While, of course, I cannot share that video, what I will share with you are some screenshots. Huh? And, of course, there is Archie and Lily. Now, thank you very much, Antoinette Kennedy, for sending this to me. I watched this video where Elizabeth Warner spoke about private equity. Private equity is an alternative investment class consisting of capital investment in companies that are not publicly traded on the stock exchange. Instead of traditional stock purchases, private equity firms buy and manage private companies or take public companies private with the goal of increasing their value and selling them off for a profit after a number of years. Well, that's one interpretation. However, what we've seen so much of is companies like Red Lobster, Toys R Us, and of course, Joann's Fabric and others have been purchased by these private equities, and then they have been bankrupt, run into the ground. And they always have an excuse. For Red Lobster, which is still struggling to survive, they blamed it on the all-you-can-eat shrimp, right? For Toys R Us, they blamed it on Walmart because Walmart eventually overtook Toys R Us and became the biggest seller of toys anywhere in the United States. But that does not mean that there wasn't room for Toys R Us. However, Toys R Us was the victim of the equity thing. And of course, Joann Fabrics. One of the ways that they bankrupt these companies, and this is really the only one that I know of, is they will purchase a company that has a lot of real estate. Like McDonald's owns a hell of a lot of real estate. Well, they purchase, let's say, Red Lobster. And I'm speaking hypothetically. This may or may not have happened. But what they do is they buy the company. And of course, they lower the quality of goods and service, allegedly. And then they drive a lot of loyal customers away like that. But still, it takes people a while to catch on. The other thing that they do is they sell the land or the building and the land where these these shops are located to another company, which takes over that property and then leases it back to, let's say, Red Lobster. So Red Lobster, all of a sudden, instead of being a landowner, they become a leasee or lease. Well, anyway, they're renting. And what happens? The rent goes up. All of a sudden, they are paying rent for something that they owned. And of course, because the rent price keeps going up, that company eventually goes bankrupt. And when it goes bankrupt, well, they sell it off. They'll try to sell it to someone. A lot of times they just shut it down and sell off all that land at a hefty profit. And then they move on to the next company and the next company and the next company. This has happened so many times. So thank you, Antoinette Kennedy. You know exactly what I was interested in. I think I must have mentioned it at some point. But anyway, I'm so glad to have seen that. But yeah, it's a thing. It happens. And it's legal. That's the sad thing, is that it's legal and they can get away with it. And so you can take a perfectly good company and bankrupt it for profit. But Joann Fabrics, let's think about that. Joann Fabrics. Do you know how many people subsidize their income with a sewing machine? Do you know how many people can't afford to buy some of those designer outfits? So they'll buy the fabric and have someone sew it for them. But either way, it's a horrendous thing to do. It cost a lot of jobs. Joann Fabrics was actually, I think they were about to open, was it 20, 40 stores before all of this happened? They were actually planning to open new stores because Joann Fabrics was very popular, very profitable, until it wasn't. Well, I've never heard that one before. I haven't heard that one before, but what I do know is they always have a reason. They always blame the victim. And in this case, the victim is usually the retailer, the family-owned business, whatever it is. They always have a reason. So I'm not saying that's not true, but remember, part of the way that they make this possible is that they have to come up with a reason. Well, they don't have to, but they do. Just like with the Red Lobster, the all-you-could-eat shrimp is what bankrupted them. Was it really? Or was it something more sinister? So I guess somewhere in between those things lies the truth. But just do know that this is a thing, and some of your favorite companies may be subject to private equity companies. And with that, you guys, I'm going to say good night. Thank you so much. God bless. And I will see you next time. Hey, Nubian Queen, I didn't know you were here. Good night, Joy Amore. Zakoy Farms, I didn't know you were here. Okay, cheers. I'm out of here.